more so I think of the doll as a stuffed animal at this point. But also like a brotherly presence that's been there my entire life, which is odd.
It's showtime.
It's kind of interesting to have done the voice of something that is actually a bigger star than you are.
The slasher genre was ready for a burst of new blood, and Chucky supplied that in spades.
It was a new kind of horror figure.
Those movies were about the villain.
Many movies later, and now a television series.
Kyra, I was like, I didn't know if you wanted Kyra Elise, or should I call you acronym KEG, Kyra Elise Gardner? Like,
yeah, my parents didn't really think about that one when they named me. No, Kyra Gardner's fine. I forget that I put myself in the credits as Kyra Elise Gardner at the time, and now I'm like, why did I do that? But yeah, whatever's clever.
you know, you have a sense of style. I know that right away. Not only with this shirt that you're wearing, which is a great Chucky. Is that a custom made one, by the way? I don't know where you buy one of these.
No, actually, I got it at PacSun.
What? That is so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know they sell those. That's amazing. But I noticed your frequent nail polish changes in the film. I thought you kept it creative, on point with the kind of story with the Chucky collars. Well done there. Whoever's your nail technician, doing well. If it's yourself, then you got another job there.
It was $8 press-ons from Target.
You do things effectively, I can see. As a filmmaker for documentaries, that's probably a good skill set.
On a budget, a filmmaker on a budget.
I love it. This was such a fun watch for me. And from seeing, I think you did everything on this, right? Wrote it, directed, edited, and we know editing's not the easiest process, and a lot goes into it. This is kind of like a baby of yours, isn't it?
Yeah, a baby that I've had in my oven for far too long.
What started the whole process? I mean, I'm guessing you must have grown up on the Chucky films, must have been a fan. But there's one thing putting it all together into this form, which was really fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I had obviously seen the actual behind the scenes of what goes into making the Chucky films with my dad and everything. And when I was in film school at FSU, they taught a semester on documentary filmmaking, and so I was really attracted to the documentaries that had a more personal aspect to them and to the filmmaker. So I knew I wanted to touch on something personal to myself. And originally I was thinking of doing something on my dad, who's a SFX artist, obviously. But it seemed a little too broad, and a teacher suggested I focus it on Chucky, since I referred to him as a little brother, and that's weird. So I set out to do a short version of this documentary in film school called The Dollhouse. And then after doing that and running the festival circuit there, and seeing the response from fans being really positive to that personal aspect, I set out to make the feature-length version, but I had no idea what I was undertaking at the time.
I could imagine. I was surprised. You literally got everyone you would need affiliated with this franchise here. That's a skill set, I'm guessing. There's some convincing briberies going on, that you got everyone here involved that you could ever imagine in the Chucky universe throughout the years. You did a great job of getting so many voices onto this film.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was no bribery, although we did give Alex Vincent a good guy doll in the process.
Nice.
So maybe that sweetened the deal.
There you go. I mean, it must have been cool too. I love the kind of back and forth between Brad and Fiona. I spoke to Fiona not too long ago, so that's kind of cool too. But it's so cool to kind of like just get this conversation started from the people who were part of this, you know, and how much this character and this doll means to them, you know, even though they've had different things they've done in their careers since and all these things, but it just kind of comes back to this doll.
Right. Yeah, it was interesting. It was so cool to see the perspective of a fellow like daughter to Chucky, in a sense. Like Brad is obviously Chucky, but to me also my dad is an extension of Chucky because they bring him to life. So it was so interesting to see our paralleled perspectives on our own childhoods.
Yeah, knowing your dad kind of knows how to make these things freaky, and terrorize kids and people. What is your perception of the doll? Is it freak you out, or you just know too many of the inner workings behind the curtain to know to ever be, terrorized by Chucky? I'm curious. You have a unique perspective on it too.
Yeah, it's more so I think of the doll as a stuffed animal at this point. But also like a brotherly presence that's been there my entire life, which is odd. But I definitely was scared of the doll as a kid, and then I grew up. And also, I've seen my dad work on so many different movies, and even when I watch horror movies, like I can watch them by myself and I'm fine. Because I just know so much that goes into making those scary gags with special effects or VFX. So it's kind of just like knowing knowing how the whatever's made, the dinner.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
So it's not really a terrorizing thing. It's just kind of like he's there.
Yep, exactly. I think how the sausage is made, right? That's the
Sausage, yes.
yeah,
I know how the
that it was.
sausage is made.
I
And
don't know, and I don't want to know how it's made. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very true. Like, yeah, except I want to know how this sausage is made. So.
Exactly. What did you learn about this? I mean, just having these conversations and kind of revisiting, because I feel like you touched everything there is to literally talk about Chucky, but is there anything that kind of surprised you or you learned along the way about anything behind the scenes, in front of the scenes?
Yeah. That's, I grew up in a small mountain town, and our family was one of like two that worked in the film industry. So I didn't have a lot of friends who related to a parent being gone for extended periods of time. And like I had just met most everyone in this documentary for the first time in those interviews. And like hearing about David Kirshner, and I didn't know he had two daughters, and he has grandchildren, and just hearing him talk about it from the perspective of a dad as well, and like going to do those first movies, especially, because my dad came on in 2004, but David was there since 1988, and he was like going to Chicago, and Skype and things didn't exist. It was just landlines. Like, oh my God, thinking about that, being a parent in the industry working on this crazy movie that takes longer than most movies because of the doll aspect of it. And you only have landlines to stay connected to your family. It was just like, I very much could relate in a sense of how it was for me and my dad. And so talking about that and getting a lot more personal with people I had just met was really surprising. Like there are a few things in there that's not included because people got a little too personal and was like, wait, don't put that in there.
Wow,
And
interesting.
So it was really neat, and I felt very like included and a part of the gang.
That's cool. Who knew Chucky would play part of therapy, for some people?
Or be the reason we're in therapy. Who knows?
That's amazing. I love the fact that you would not strike me as like, I see you on the street or swiping on a dating app. I would not think of you as a director, which I love that fact. I think of you as like an actress, or, what I mean? Like you, and the cool thing is that someone your age kind of just breaking the mold and being young and a female and making films. How has that been a easy sort of a journey you've always wanted to undertake? I feel like, when you think of directors, usually someone older, seasoned, who's been through the industry for long. I like the fact that someone as young as you can take this on fully with writing, editing, filmmaking. I find that really ambitious and kind of inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, that's the thing. They don't let us young folks in, like they don't take chances on us young folks as much.
Yeah,
so.
Is there a stigma against young people? I just don't see that many young directors that often.
It's very like hard to break into directing, especially if you want to get into the union. And so that's why a lot of directors are independent, because they can have creative control and do their thing, but also like there isn't as much risk taking because directors are in charge of the whole production, and the industry is so focused on money these days. that there's not much experimenting going on like I think there used to be in say like the 80s. So there's less like risk on putting it all on somebody who's young. And then on top of that, a woman, it's a lot of obstacles. I also find that I don't get taken as seriously as I would a man, even a man my age. So it's a little, it's hard. I originally wanted to be a nurse. So this is definitely not, this is not nursing school.
No.
And so it is a lot of challenges I wasn't expecting to face. I mean, as a woman, you're going to experience misogyny anywhere you go, but especially in the filmmaking world, but also the horror genre, you're met with a lot of people taking you up for face value rather than like actually listening to what you have to say.
Well, you made them listen. That's for sure. I really enjoyed it. This was so much fun. You really covered everything in it that I could ever need to ask or have questions about. So it was very well-rounded all around and just enjoyable watch with the clips and everything. I'm just blown away that you like did the editing and writing all this together and make it look better than a major motion studio probably would with like, you know, the best in the business making it. So awesome work.
Thank you so much. That's so kind.
Absolutely. I hope you make a lot more things, and I'm excited to see what's in your journey ahead of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for taking the time, Kyra.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. And I'll be looking for that shirt now. I'm going online to check it out.
Yeah, PacSun.
There you go. It's awesome. Take care. Bye-bye.